The number of crew members you need on set really depends on several factors, but the biggest one is what size production are you doing, right? What is the budget? That's one, because you got to pay people. You at least got to feed them. The bare minimum, you got to feed people, which is still money. And from there, it's just like, what are the scenes calling for? How many days are you shooting, etc. So this is really like a producing type of question. And that's fine, because I produce my own movies, so I'm happy to share you some of my tips and tricks. But let's just assume we're going to talk about on kind of like maybe 2 to 3 budget levels, right? I'm guessing that if you're asking this question, the majority of you are not on $100 million film sets, right? So I'm just going to assume that that's what we're dealing with. Majority of people are shooting on what I would call the no budget category, which could be anywhere from between $0 to, let's say, $10,000. And then we're going to call the next category like some money, which let's just say is like between 10,000 to 100,000, right? And then the category after that, I would be like, oh, we sitting kind of nice, which is going to be from 100,000, right, all the way up into $1 million, which is like, I know those are really kind of huge sections. But once you get into certain categories, it's pretty much is the same. Like it can expand, but like on a day-to-day basis, it's pretty much the same. So let's start off with our no budget guys, which is great because I've worked in all 3 categories before. So I'll be able to help you out. So our no budget people, the real answer is you need the bare minimum to make that film look good and to not kill your bank account. Right? Is it possible for it to be one person on set? The answer is yes. Probable? No. Not unless you have unlimited amount of time. Because what happens is, let's say you want to be the director, you're the cinematographer, you're essentially the sound person, right? You're the gaffer. You're like everything, right? You're a one-man band, and then the actors are on the other side, right, of the camera. Yes, this is possible. And you could even pull this off. You can even do a full feature film if you have the knowledge, you have the camera, you have the sound equipment, you have the research. You can do that yourself. How do I know? It's because I did that. And I would probably never, not even probably, I'm never doing that again. But that's sometimes it's necessary. That's what I like to call a show up film, right? You're trying to put a film together and do what you need to do. I had a Red camera. I had rented wireless lavaliers. I learned how to hide microphones. I did the lighting setups. I have my own lights. And then hell, in some of the scenes, I was in the scene too. So I was hopping in front of the camera and slating and doing. It was a lot. It was a whole lot. So I suggest not to do that. So that is the bare minimum you can have is one person. One person. But at a bare minimum, I suggest that you have, and let's say I'm going to include you as the director, right? So not including the director, I suggest at least a 3-man crew, right? And here's what that would look like. So that would be a cinematographer, a gaffer, right? Or an AC person. Let your cinematographer choose what they want, what they really need. And a sound person. I always suggest having a dedicated person on sound. So, because sound is super important. It can look as good as you want to look, but you got some boo-boo sound, you're not going anywhere, right? And y'all could have boom mic, lavaliers, he could have the stand mixer. Like, even still to this day, on most of my crews, I only have one sound person. Sometimes if I have a whole bunch going on in the scene, I'll have 2, like an extra person, but for the most part, I have one sound person, and I always get clean audio. And I'm actually thinking about investing in my own audio equipment, but that's a sidebar, right? A cinematographer, because their job is, yes, you guys are in collaboration as a director prior to, right? You're in collaboration about what lenses you want to shoot, and you know, shot selection and all that. But their job, for pretty much for the most part, is setting up a camera and making sure the scene is lit properly. And then whoever their person is their first AC, then their job is to pull focus, make sure everything's in focus, and that's going to save time. Some people are good enough to pull their own focus, and it's not going to be an issue. I literally just did a film like that, and he was amazing. Shout out to David. And then a gaffer, which is a person who's helping setting up lighting equipment, right? If you have that, you got yourself, the director, DP or cinematographer, a gaffer, right? Or first AC and a sound person, you're good. What's comfortable, even on the quote unquote no budgets, right? What's comfortable is to have 4 crew and yourself. So that would be at least 1 gaffer, right? Then you got your first AC, your DP, and a sound person. So that way we don't have to worry about just the small things. Knowing how much time you have, all of that stuff is super important if you're going to pull this off. I just did a film in 3 days. We had 3 other crew. But I had PAs show up, and now we're people who wanted experience, and they showed up for free. So it can be done on that budget level, right? So that's our no budget. I would say what you get away with, you can get away with 3 if you got it. Even if the 4th person is for free, not including the director, right? Then cool. This also works if the directors, like myself, and most of my stuff is the director, the writer, the producer. Great. If we're talking about they aren't those people, then we need to turn around and include those people too. If you are not all those people built into one, then those are the people who are probably going to be on set too. The writer, especially because it's going to help with lines. The writer could be the scripty as well, right? So that'll help. Your producer may or may not be on set. A lot of times producers, for executive producers, don't be on set. They give you the money and then your job is to execute. But if it's your first film, they might be on set some days as well. So I say the bare minimum, again, the bare minimum, not including yourself, would be 3. Comfortable would be 4. And if you could throw in some free people up in there, you're good to go. This didn't include food. You might have to do that yourself. Which is, you use Albertsons. What else is good? Vaughn's, all those do catering. I did a whole video, an entire video about how I shot a feature film in 3 days. So you can check that out on the channel and you'll get even more details. But today we're focusing on just crew. All right, let's get into our next budget segment, which would be from 10,000 to, I think I said 10,000, it could even be like 20,000, whatever, right? To upwards to $100,000. Okay, so what that means is you're gonna have more days. More days doesn't necessarily mean more people, because you could have the same crew, right? But more days, more locations, just more everything, right? What I would say is comfortable. What is the least, right? You need that 4 that I was talking about in the last one. For sure do that 4. So that's DP, that's gaffer, right? That's, whatchamacallit, first AC, and that's sound. What I would suggest would be super duper comfortable, right? Would be 6, right? So maybe you get grip that's added on. Maybe somebody else in the gaffing department or grip department or a second AC. Right, this is what you would lean on your DP, like what do you really want? And if you do that, plus you throw in 2 or 3 PAs, those PAs are doing all the running, right? They're doing all the, okay, go pick up the food, go do this, or we ran out of this, go get that, or help us set up when it's time to do the next setup and break down and do all, they're doing all of that, right? So like really, you're at 6 people, super comfortable, but like you have hands, like in any given moment, have hands, like 8 people, right? Hands. This is very achievable, and I'm telling you this because I've done it. We didn't miss a day. Not one day did we miss. Not one shot did we miss. And it's, as long as you're organized, you can make it happen. I'm also not talking about, like I said, if your writer's there, etc. If you want to be super comfortable, so let's say we're getting that $50,000 to like $100,000, right? This is what you got. Then we're probably, here's what we're adding in. We're going to add in somebody who's dedicated for wardrobe, Definitely, you're gonna have hair and makeup. So now we're at like 10, 11 people. So wardrobe, hair, makeup. Maybe somebody who's strictly on props and like location setting up. A lot of times we'll rent a house, but we'll use like 5 different rooms in a house and make them look like separate locations. Because every time when you're in a scene, you're not leaving and entering the house and like doing all that. You might just be in a room, right, that you're popping in. And so we'll make it look like different locations. So if you had somebody who, as soon as you got to the location, is setting up the rooms the way it needs to be done and props, etc., for sure, that matters. And like I said, use your writer as your scriptie. That's about 10 to 11-ish people in that category. I would say what is the most important, right? If you're a director, talk to your DP. Get the crew that they need, because that's what's going to hold you up when it's time to switch and set up and shots and all that. That's going to hold you up the most. The other things, as long as you have other hands, you can give somebody the hands of wardrobe, because you could have an actual chart. You can have pictures. You can have stuff already organized that you did yourself in the pre-production stage of this person wearing this outfit on this day. And then anybody who just has common sense could look at a picture and be like, all right, we're shooting this scene. This is the outfit you're supposed to put on. They make sure it's ironed and steamed, get it to the character, boom, right? When it comes to females, anybody can't just be doing hair and makeup. If you're dealing with stars, you need to make sure that they're comfortable, for sure. A lot of times, fresh new actors and actresses know that they're showing up hair and makeup ready. That is a kind of a known thing, that's not covered in these smaller budgets. You're going to have to show up in character. You have your wardrobe discussion ahead of time. A lot of times they're bringing their own wardrobe and using their own wardrobe depending on what the film calls for. So that helps you and that saves time. Do a lot of this stuff in pre-production, and you don't need a whole bunch of people on set. Now let's get into our next category. Next chunk, 100,000 to like $1 million. So we not skipping down. We not skipping down. Those other bunch of categories, in these categories, you need a dedicated person for each individual task, right? And the most important is to fill out that camera crew and lighting crew, because chances are your locations are bigger. They require more setup. And more setup means more time. More time means more money. And that is how you kill your budget. We want to be able to move efficiently and effectively. And you also want to have one person over each department head if you're the director, and then they report to you, so you're not dealing with dumb questions. When you're dealing with dumb questions, I'm telling you, it is the most frustrating thing. Like, why didn't you ask such and such this? Why are you directing this question towards me? Like, why are we doing this? We need to work as a team, and that team is like an assembly line, and it works super duper efficiently. So I would say, and usually it's going to be more than this, right? But depending on where we're at, if we're at 100,000, or if we're close to 100,000, it's close to this number. If we're further away from 100,000, close to $1 million, is way more, right? I would say at least 20 people, at bare minimum, is what you're going to need. 20 people. And we're going to run it on down, right? And if you guys want individual videos about like what do directors do, what do producers do, what does this person do, comment what you need. What does blank do? Put that in the comments below. What does a blank do? And we can make a whole video about what a blank does. That part. All right. So you got you, the director. I'm just assuming that, right? We got our producers. We got our writers. That doesn't change, right? But I'm talking about on the set. Okay. You got you, your director. You got your cinematographer. You got, you got a gaffer. You got a grip. Probably got at least 2 of those. Another gaffer, got a grip. You got a first AC, you got a second AC. We already at 8 people right there. And sound, you probably at least got 2 people. 1, 2. We had 10 people right there. That's like just our basic everyday, you showing up everyday crew, right? Then you're gonna have a scriptie. We can't be messing up lines and continuity. We don't have to know. There's too much money involved. Gotta have somebody dedicated to do that. That part. It can't be a dual role. Okay, cool. We're at 11. We got somebody in prop department because we got some big setups. So for sure, at least 1 person in prop department, right? Got wardrobe person. That's all they do. You got a hair person, so hopefully that person is doing, we're in the 100,000s, that person is doing, if we're costing $1 million, we got multiple people who are doing hair because we need people to be ready and on time. And we got too many people in the scenes. So that could be barbers. This number could go way up, right? It could be people who are doing weaves and braids and all types of stuff. You got a makeup person because people got to look a certain way, and we don't need our actors worried about how they look, etc. Right? You got somebody in food. And that could be several people who are in food. Then you got just PAs. Just pop at least 2 PAs up on there. For sure. And then from there, you got like location people who are just managing location. You might have a parking person who's just managing parking. Might have a transportation person. I clearly just got to 20 people at bare minimum that are going to be required on a $100,000 budget or more. And depending on the amount that's needed and all that, those they could double. So now you see how we could clearly easily get to like 50 and 100, right? So I think a good chunk of this is budget. How many days are shooting? What are you shooting? What type of film are you shooting? Because we could have went into like camera operators could have got crazy if we're doing action sequences. Maybe we have multiple camera operators. Like, because your first AC is not operating the camera, like whatever the situation is. So it can get crazy. I hope this video helped you a lot. If you want me to get more specific on each individual job, again, put that in the comments below. Please do me a favor, hit the like button, sub button, bell button. Like, you gotta go.